Look at these handsome boys. This is one of the hardest videos I have made so far. Apologies in advance if it isn't particularly entertaining. This is the video of the Burrito Titans in-person Peak District meetup, organised by none other than David Freight Train Raynham, showing us his local area, and it was a fantastic day out.
Yeah! Everyone apart from Pete, I don't know why Pete's not for our ones. Oh, that's not either.
Fucking bodybuilder and the tough guys.
Yeah, yeah.
30 minutes time.
Yeah.
My wheel's falling off.
In an hour we'll hear a spoke noise. Got to stop and check.
So this route was fantastic around the Peak District. David's taken Phil Lovett on it before, but it was taking in just some local hills, which we'll get to as they come up. What I've struggled with in this video is you saw all of that like little chat that I've put in, and this was an incredible day out. I had such a great time meeting these people in person, you know, many of them for the first time, and we just had a laugh. It's like we're all mates. You wouldn't know that we'd not met. In fact, most of them had met, in fairness. And generally the humour was high. I wanted to capture all of that. I don't want this to just be a dry, this is the hill we did, then we did this hill, and I did it at this power sort of video. But on the other hand, I also wasn't just like shoving a camera in everyone's face every time we were having a laugh. So there may be some out of context jokes that you're just like, why have you included that? That's just a conversation. For example, here we stopped for an old man piss. This became a running joke. Lots of pisses. My god, I've got all of their penises on camera. I'm sure you wanted to know that. I've not included any of them in this video. So here we're coming through Matlock, and then we came out, I think this bit of road goes alongside Chatsworth House and over a nice bridge and stuff as well. It was generally quite a nice bit of road to view. Unfortunately, it is a main road. Look at Peter bobble along there. What a glorious man. The very, very first thing to note is, my god, these boys can descend a hill. Unlike anything I've seen before. It was never dangerous, but it was terrifying.
Oh Christ. He's got my segment and he's got me chasing Simon Lyon's time up here. 8 minutes.
So this is the first big climb of the day, Sir William Hill. I'll put the stats on screen now. There you go. Average of 10% for 2.2k. That's a proper climb, isn't it, to get us going? So you just turn off here, and the grade was pretty steady from what I remember. I think it actually starts a little steeper than the average. And I think that because I invested a lot of power, and it looks like on my Garmin there, that's how it is. First proper climb of the day. Obviously it's a bit sizing each other up. We're not attacking each other as such, but I've gone full gas here. Tried to stay with Piglet. What an idiot. Why did I think I could do that? Obviously I can't hang on Piglet's wheel. He is strong. So off he's gone. He got this gap on me fairly early, and I thought if I can just keep him in sight, I'll be happy. If he doesn't get out of sight from me, that'll be a success. And he is every bit as strong in person as he is on Zwift. Make no mistake, that is absolute athleticism. And throughout the day, I'll tell you what people were really good at and not good at, and you know, those who were good at climbing hills, those who were good at descending. Piglet's just like frustratingly brilliant at all of it. If it's riding a bike, he was so good at it. So we climb out with a tree line here. You can see that you start getting this view up above the moors, and it's really impressive. And you know, I say this every time, but the cameras didn't really capture it adequately. But it was a really nice way to start the day. It was a bit chilly, but that kind of low sun really made some nice lighting conditions. And as you come over the crest here, the gradient does level off a little bit. So this is where Piglet really schooled me on how to climb a hill. He would put the power down in VO2 at the beginning, like I do. But then when you get to these false flats, he just keeps that power going. It's crazy. So I did a little analysis. It doesn't matter, but I compared our times, and he obviously puts time into me on the steep bits, but then he really just pulls away when it gets flat because I give up because I'm not very good at them. and he just powers on. It's very impressive to see. Here's our times for the day if anyone cares. We weren't racing, but I thought it'd be nice to include how all the lads did. And then we regrouped at the top for another bit of random chatter. Very pleasant it was too. Nice to regroup here, have a little debrief.
Good climb, that.
So down off William there, and out towards Hope. My geography around here is terrible, so I might get all of this wrong. Sorry, David. These descents were hard. Harder than the climb, if I'm honest. A few of us, it really separated the strong descenders from the weaker descenders, as David and Scott just disappeared around these hairpins on gravelly roads, and the rest of us were a little more heavy on the brakes. It was... You can see just how much stuff there is in the road and how we start separating out. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, turning down these hairpins and descending. And there's something about the view you get as you turn a hairpin, because you get to take in a whole vista around you. It was lovely, but it was quite sketchy in my opinion. These boys completely unfazed by it. Absolutely off like a shot. It was brilliant. Then we rolled down to our first cafe stop, and to tell you a little story, one of the team, who I won't name, just went in first and said to the lady behind the counter, I'm going to leave all this money here and just pay for everyone's stuff with it. But didn't tell any of us. It wasn't oh, look at me, I've bought everyone's stuff at the cafe. It was just, it really made me feel grateful that it was no big deal. It was just, I'm out with my mates and I want to do a nice thing, not doing it for the praise. So that's why I'm not saying who it was, but I thought that was such a kind thing to do. And here we go through Hope, that lovely pace line. Titans are known for their pace line, and we're about to approach Winnett's Pass, sorry. There you go, National Hill Climb Champs last year was on this. My Strava on my Garmin was messing up my whole approach to everything, so I got very confused. I shot off away from the rest of the boys because I wanted the best Strava time possible on here, and then I didn't know there was a turn, so I slowed right down and was like, where am I going? I've messed this up. And the rest of them just left me to it because they don't give a shit about Strava, rightly so. They were just going to deal with the hill as they got to it. It's so imposing from a distance to see Winnett's, you know, because it's really quite impressive, the sort of the cutting out of the rock that you get to, the geology of it. I know geology is a bit of a meme at this point in cycling YouTube videos, but I sincerely mean the geology. You'll see when we get back to it. It's just fantastic, just really impressive to see. And it was nice to be riding Dodge and Sheep. It felt like I was at home. So I felt like shooting off early from the rest of the group, it would be too humiliating for me to, you know, to get caught by anyone. At that point, I've been a bit of a prick, so I tried to keep the power down, even though it was just a social day out. And I was trying to take in the scenery as well. Look at this. You know, I'll always tell you that Wales is beautiful, but this is something different, and it's absolutely stunning. It's easily just as comparable to anything I'd ride at home. Really fantastic. Look at this man going up on a Brompton. Ignore the gradients as always. This is steep. This is properly steep. Like, it's tough to keep the pedals ticking over. I'm doing 60 RPM. I'm probably not in my lowest gear. I quite like climbing around 60 to 70. And here's a common sight. Piglet reeling me in because he's an athlete and I am but a knobhead on a bicycle. Absolutely not trying to make a point. He just loves riding his bike hard, so there he goes. Cheers me on, and I cheer him on, push him through. I did want to try and hold his wheel just for the sake of, you know, hold his wheel, but I had no chance. The only criticism I'd make of Winnett's is it's so busy. It wasn't fun to ride in that respect. The Peaks is so accessible for so many people that it is just full of tourists to a level that I'm not used to. And can you blame them? Look at this. Why wouldn't you want to come and drive your car up it? But it does slightly detract from the joy of cycling it, unfortunately. It almost feels claustrophobic in there. Yeah, it definitely feels claustrophobic when dickheads like that close past you. Here it is again. He fully closed in. I don't know why. I'm pretty much as over to the left as I can get. All these other cars giving us ample room. I'd like to have more space, but they can't really do anything, and that's completely fair. If you look behind me, there's two of the other lads. I think that's David and Peter. Not far back at all, just coming out of that incredible rock formation. I think that's a beautiful shot that hopefully you agree shows just how steep this climb is. Really tough. So just coming over the top here, but don't be fooled. I'm not quite at the end, and I'm struggling. You always know I'm struggling when my head is in it. And it does this like false flat to the finish where obviously I've given up. I'm doing like, oh, 200 watts, fancy that, even though the climb's not over. That is, unfortunately, Nick Brownbill's signature move at the moment. It really frustrates me, and seeing how well the boys did, it means it's something for me to come back to. There's the Strava results. And there's me coming up Mamtor, which is just like, which is the hill that Winners goes through. Me and Peter there had regrouped a little bit. I couldn't find Piglet by this point. And I attacked Peter to the top of this non-existent hill, which I watched this footage back, and sometimes I think, why do you need to behave that way, Nick? Why are you so insecure that you're riding with your mate chatting and you feel the need to go, look what I can do? Anyway, I think Peter thought it was a laugh, but I'm sorry, Pete. That was a dick move, wasn't it? And you get this lovely scenery on the other side. There's going to be a recurring theme. Like I do with my dad or anyone when I'm cycling, I like to stick to the ethos of, you know, no one finishes a hill on their own. You get to the top and you go back to ride with your mates for the rest of it. So back down to ride with the rest of the lads. Kyle giving it the beans here just to get over the final lip. All those hikers on the right taking it in as well. Again, who can blame them?
Lovely climb.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Oh, up north.
Don't apologise for doing it twice, Kyle.
They've only beat me because of the sheep.
Ah, sheep. Pete got caught behind the car.
Yeah. There's a car that stopped the sheep.
This one was beautiful to climb down. Yeah, this one coming up? Yeah.
Do a rep of that.
Well, no, I meant this descent. This was a nice climb.
Cycling was great, but the moments like that were the highlight of the day for me. I really enjoyed them. You know, just chatting as we went along, just being friends. It's nice having friends, isn't it? Especially when your friends descend like this. Watch them go. Watch this absolute masterclass from David and Scott as we come off the far side of Mamtor. I was okay keeping up with them to a certain point, and then even David has dropped back from Scott a little bit there because, my God, he's drafting that Ford Focus. Lovely bridge. It was a good bridge day, by the way. I didn't get loads of them. And then I forgot to turn my cameras on for a while as we rolled around over to Burbage Moor, our next official climb. So this is kind of climb 3 out of 4 for the day, for the big hills. And this one doesn't suit me at all. It's like an average of 5%. I know I just put the stats up on screen. I didn't even read them while doing this voiceover because I am an amateur. It was very nice to have Paul's company at the bottom of this climb. We pushed on together to a certain extent. And throughout the day, my mantra had been, just hang with Piglet as long as you can. You know, who knows, maybe you'll surprise yourself. So we pedalled on. I should stress, I'm honestly not convinced he was even going full gas, but you know, it was nice to just sort of ride on at a pace we were comfortably full on with, if that makes sense. I was going as hard as I could whilst comfortably enjoying the day and the people, so it wasn't 100% full gas, fall off my bike and die at the end, but it was full. And here Piglet's decided that he's gonna put some power down, and I thought this time I'm not gonna have the regret of letting him go. Except just there, you can see it, can't you? There I go, letting him go. I couldn't hold that. I absolutely couldn't, and that's okay. I'm absolutely okay with that. So then it just became Nick versus Hill again, and this landscape's really nice. I do like a hill like this that's fairly steady. I've got no idea why the gradient says 10% here. I think this is less than 10%, so yeah, proper silly buggers, that Garmin barometer. But this was a really nice climb, because, I mean, to me it looks like a bigger road than, say, Winnert's. But maybe it just doesn't link to places people want to go, I don't know. It was much less busy. And there was a lot of landscape that was worth taking in and enjoying. So that was nice to sort of put myself against the sort of climb I'm not normally good at, and just see what I can achieve in the context of knowing we're going to do over 100 miles and over 2,000 metres of climbing today. So don't absolutely die. But please don't think I'm downplaying it. I don't want to be like, oh, I was pretty fast and I was only going 80%. This is 99%. It's just not absolute death or glory at the end. So you level out onto this false flat section, and as I'd started to address earlier, seeing the way a lot of these guys actually take the false flats on a hill, and the way they all clawed time either on me or back off me, has made me rethink how I climb a little bit. So I might need to go back to this. I just hemorrhage time here. But it's not all about that. It is about looking around as well. And this was absolutely, to me, this is the epitome of English countryside. It's absolutely beautiful. And we were lucky to have such a lovely clear day for it as well. As we climb up onto these moors, having the sun shining, and okay, there's clouds, but it's blue sky everywhere, sunlight, all your mates around, and great cycling. What more could you ask for? My Garmin's got me following a guy called Chris, who I went to university with, and when we were at university cycling together, we were both just kind of bang average cyclists, and then I left and Chris got more into it. And based on his times up hills around here, he must have been one of the best in the country like 8 years ago, because I mean, they are serious times. Fair play, Chris. We've not spoken since uni, but I'm well impressed. There again is how all the lads did on the day. Nice. Consistently getting Piglet put time into me.
I just knew, like, you two are just probably threshold or above for me, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just riding. Yeah. Honestly.
So Scott descends like a madman hero. Piglet climbs like an absolute animal. But David Raynham, if you thought he was a freight train on Zwift, he is next level outdoors. He could be the greatest domestique in the world tour. He just led us around this entire place on the front, pushing hard. It was amazing.
Here they come. That's carrying his speed straight through.
So I'm afraid that's where it ends. I've had an absolute nightmare, and the video exported corrupt, and it just ended there. And I'd already deleted all the raw footage because it was like 55 gig and I didn't have space for it on my laptop. So I'm afraid we miss out on a few funny bits of footage, including me being a knob and putting too much power down on the front on a slight ramp, Piglet shouting, "I think you need to give it a little tickle, Nick," so that I dropped everyone, which, not everyone, a couple of guys, which was a bit cruel. Then we did Harewood Road, I think it was called, and my bottle exploded. I had to turn around and go and pick it up. Rode back to ride with Piglet, so clearly he wasn't putting the power down too much. And then David, unannounced, telling us we were going up Bank Road as well. I did have footage of that, which led to much confusion. David and Piglet went and did an extra climb in Matlock, and me, Pete, Scott and Kyle sat at the bottom chatting shit, and I had edited some of the funny bits of that in, which is a shame. Shame to miss out on them. I am a bit upset, but still I hope that's given you a flavour of just how much fun we all had. And there were two things I said that I think are really important to say at the end. That I've talked about how strong Piglet is up the climbs, talked about how phenomenal Scott is on the descents, and I've talked about again how strong David is just chugging us along whatever the terrain. Two things I didn't mention are that Kyle kept commenting how strong everyone was and saying that he was struggling, but he's only been riding for about 2 years and almost all of that indoors, so he is exceptionally well conditioned to these like 1 hour efforts. and will beat me in any Zwift race any day of the week. And yet outdoors on this like 176 kilometre ride with a load of like good cyclists, I hope that's not arrogant to say, but with a load of good cyclists just sticking with it and getting all the way through comfortably, I think is an incredible testament to just how strong and determined he is. And then Peter, towards the end, I got a little clip of him going, "I'm knackered," and him also saying he thought this was the first like proper bike ride he'd done, by which he means far and fast outdoors. And we did loads and loads of pace lining where David and Piglet really did the heavy lifting, and the rest of us basically tucked in and got dragged around. And you can see on my rear view footage that Peter towers so much over everyone else that he's hitting twice the wind of anyone else. And then he's still consistently like second or third up the climbs. Like, the guy's strong as anything. So I really enjoyed riding with these people. I really enjoyed, you know, hanging out with my mates and having a laugh. But every single one of them is an exceptional cyclist in their way. That was the last thing I wanted to say in my voiceover. Now I'll give you a very quick Strava summary of the route and stuff. So yeah, great route, 176k, just over 2,500 meters of climbing, so that's pretty serious. This average speed of 29.3 kilometers an hour, that's crazy fast for the terrain we were on. And if you scroll down here, you can see this is just the first little climb we did. I didn't actually include much of that footage, but here comes Sir William Hill, then Winnott's Pass, then this is Burbage, and unfortunately I didn't get to include, I think this is the little kick where I was a bastard and dropped people, sorry, and then this is the last one, Harewood Road, which was really scenic, just a really nice atmosphere and scenery to ride in, which was lovely, and then a drop down into Matlock, and then pace line home. It was a fantastic day. Yeah, it's certainly one to remember. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I want to thank David for organising it, and all the guys for just making it such a great time. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope I've sort of got across the spirit of how fun it was riding with my mates and smashing myself. I was shattered for days after this ride. It was properly tough. Yeah. Right, thank you very much for watching, guys. Sorry it wasn't the complete thing, and hopefully the next one will be better. See you then.